G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now, time is one of our greatest commodities. Now, what if I told you that the focus of this video is going to be all about saving you time and giving some of you that time back? Now, the topic that we are going to have a look at today is all around dynamic automatic document generation and in the context of contract renewals. So let's say you've got a large vendor base or customer base or something along those lines that we need to generate reminder letters all around upcoming renewal of contracts. So rather than having to individually send these letters out, we're going to look at a process using Microsoft Syntex and content assembly and Power Automate to automatically and dynamically generate these renewal letters so that they can be sent out to your vendors or customers or whoever is up for renewal. So let's dive in, start from scratch and build this out as we go. So we can see here that I am in a SharePoint team site. I've got a document library. It's got a single document in it. That is our renewal letter template. So we're going to use this as the basis for our letter. You can see here that I've got a number of different placeholders where we're going to then insert the relevant information, but everything outside of those placeholders is just generic text. All right. So the other thing that we've got in play here is we've got two lists. So we've got a contract reminder letters document library. That's where our generated letters are going to land. And then we've also got a simple list here, Microsoft list for our vendors. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to create what we call a modern template. So I am going to click on the document library, the contract reminder letters, and I'm going to click the new button and then create a modern template. Then we need to select our template. So we've got that stored at the moment in our document library, and there is our template. So we're going to select this. All right. That's going to load that document into our editor where we can then start to create our template. So it's going to, on the right hand side, allow us to set up our fields and our template. All right. So we're going to create a new field. Now, the first field that we're going to create is for our vendor. So we can see here that we can give this new field a title. So we're going to choose vendor name. All right. So that is where we're going to, or the name of this new field. We'll click next. Now is where we select where this information or the data source for this information. So we can see here that we've got the ability to have our freeform text, and we can choose different types of text that we can use. We can select from choices in a column of a list or a library, or we can select from our managed metadata term set or a particular term. So we're going to use that vendor list. Okay, so we want to be able to choose a vendor from our list. So I am going to select from choices in a list, and then we're going to select. And then what we can do is select, we'll choose our list, we'll grab our vendors and we'll go next. And then we will choose the title column because that is the column that houses our vendors, okay, our vendor names. So we're going to select that and we're going to hit save. Now the same thing we're going to do for our other placeholders. So we're going to go new field, we're going to go company, let's call this company name, we'll go next. Same thing, we're going to choose our vendors list, and we will choose the name of our vendor or the company here. So again, what we'll do is we will select the title and we'll hit save, and we'll hit save on that. Now, what we're going to do here is I am going to change this vendor name because I've selected the wrong thing. So I am going to change the title, and I'm going to change this to same list, but I'm going to change the field or change the column. So contact person is the one that I'm going to use for vendor name, and we'll save that. So now we're fixed up. The next one is going to be the address. All right, so new field, address, we'll just continue on here. We'll select from our choices in our list. So same list, vendors, next, and we've got our address. And here we're going to go city. So what we might do is actually edit this. We'll just change our little square brackets. We'll go city, we'll go select, and we'll go next, and then we'll select our city, and then we'll save that. We'll then select our, actually that was the wrong one. So we had that selected already. So let's fix this up. We'll edit this. We want address, but this, we don't want city. We want the address. So let's just jump back into select a list. We'll go vendors, we'll go next, we'll go address, and we'll hit save, and we'll save that. Okay, so that is good to go. Now let's select our city. We'll add city. We'll hit next. Again, let's now choose the city column in our list. Next, city, there it is. We'll hit save, and we'll hit save. So that's good to go. Now we'll go state. So let's just highlight the word state, new field, state, next. Again, we select our list, select. We need to select our state column from our vendors list. There's our state column. We'll hit save, and we'll save that. Zip. So we've got a column that is storing our zip code. So let's go zip. We'll give this, name this called zip code. We'll hit next again. Again, let's select our list, and we'll choose our column for zip. Save, save, and now we've got our top part all sorted. Now vendor name here, we're going to need to again insert, we're going to have to create a new field. So let's go this one, let's call this one vendor name again. Vendor name, for now what we're going to do is just go put that in brackets. We'll go next. Again, we're just going to select that same column as we selected before for our vendor name, which is going to be the contact person. We'll save that. Now we've got a couple of other options here too. So the contract expiration date, and also, or we've got a company name here. So let's add a new field, company name. And we'll just give this another name. So we'll go vendor company name. And we will hit next. Again, let's just enter another option here. Vendors. We'll go title. That is the name of our vendor there. Now, the next thing we also need to do with, let's just have a look here. We've got phone number, we've got email address, and also contract expiration date, which we don't have in our list right now. So what we're going to do is we will close this, and we're going to save this as a draft. So let's save this as a draft. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our list. We're going to add some additional columns. All right, so we're saving this template. It's saved in drafts. So if we go up to modern template and we go to edit new menu, what we'll see here is our draft templates here. So we can then click our three little dots, and then we can edit this as well. So what we need to do is jump into our vendors list, and we need to add a couple more columns here. So if we look back onto our template here, we need a contract expiration date, and we need also a renewal deadline date. Okay, so we're going to store those values in our list. So back onto the list here, let's add a date and time column. We'll hit next, and we'll go renewal date as our first column. And then we'll also add another date column, which is going to be our expiration date. So we'll go add, we'll go date and time, we'll go next, expiry date. as a date and time column too. All right, so now we've got our 2 additional columns. Let's jump back into our document library and let's edit our template now. So we'll go new, we'll go edit, edit the new menu, and here is our draft template. We'll click the 3 little dots and then we'll hit edit. And then we'll just insert those new fields into the template. So we'll jump into here and let's highlight, once this loads on the right hand side, we'll highlight contract expiration date. So we'll just select this portion of the text. We'll go new field, expiration date as the name of the field. We'll hit next. Again, we're going to select the choices from our list, and the newly created columns should now appear. So if we scroll down, we've got expiry date, which I've spelled incorrectly, but that's okay. We'll hit save. That's our expiration date. And now down the bottom here, we need our renewal proposal deadline, which will select that text, new field, deadline as the name of the field. Next, select, and we'll now select that new column for renewal date. We'll hit save, or that's the deadline, so it's the same thing. So the expiration date, and there's the deadline. Now here we need to add in our email address. Now this is my email address, so I'm going to add my email address in here, and you'll notice that we can actually edit this template directly in here and the text of this template. Now it's important to know that this isn't related, or there's no linkage here between this and the other document that we started this template from. So what I'm doing here is not at all editing this document that's living in that document library that we started from. Okay, so they are completely separate. So we are now good to go. So let's publish this. All right, so we're going to publish this. We've got all of our fields, and let's now publish. All right, so we're now set up. Now what we need to do is create our workflow, our Power Automate flow here, to be able to generate these documents automatically. So let's jump over into Power Automate. So we'll hit our little dots up the top left-hand corner. We'll go to Power Automate, and we're going to create a manually triggered flow here. All right, so we'll manually trigger this. That will dynamically generate all of our documents for us. So let's hit create. We'll go instant cloud flow, generate renewal letters. We'll manually trigger this and we'll create. So that's our trigger. We're going to manually create. We're going to manually trigger this. So that will then load. Now the first action we're going to create here is we're going to say generate, and we'll choose the SharePoint connector, generate documents using Microsoft Syntex. All right. We then need to pass in our site address, all right, which is the RFQ site. We need the document library name, which is reminder letters. We need the document template, which should load in our templated letter, which is this one here. All right. So the path here, we're just going to get the path to our library, which will be contract reminder letters, and that will do from there. Okay, so the folder path is there, and the file name, we are going to dynamically generate our file name. But what you'll notice is that we need to get the items from our list. So our vendors live inside of a list. So what's going to happen here is we need to add another action prior to generating our documents. So we need to get all the items from our list. All right, so there's an action here that allows us to get items. So from this get items, again, what we need to do is pass in our site. We then need to pass in the list where our values or our items are located, which is vendors. All right, and then what we can do is generate and loop through and create all of our documents. All right, so you can see here that when we're getting items, we do have some other options that we can do here. So what we're going to do, we'll jump back down into our generate document using Microsoft Syntex list here, we need a file name, which is going to be just dynamically from our get items. Let's use the title column because that's going to be the value of the company. The vendor name, let's use the contact person. The company name is the title. The title column will field that. We've got the address, which is coming from the list. We've got city, again, dynamically coming from the list. We've got state. Let's just continue our way down through each of these values. We'll go zip code. There, we've got the vendor name, which is which is going to be the vendor contact. We've got the expiration date, which we will go expiry date like so. All right. So there we go. We'll hit save. And let's now give this a test. So I will put somebody in the vendor. All right, so let's go vendor name. Let's call this one Microsoft. Let's contact person is me. We'll go address 123 some streets. We'll go Melbourne. We'll go Vic, and we'll go 3001. Let's go renewal date. We'll go this one here, expiry date. Let's just pop a date in there and we'll save. So now we've got one item in our list here. So if I go back into my flow, I am going to just give us a little warning about some OData queries, etc. But that's okay. So let's hit test. Let's go manually and we'll test this now. So we're going to dynamically now generate. It should give us one letter in our document library. So we'll wait for that to run. That has now completely done. Your flow is ready to go. Recommend testing it. Here we go. We've changed it. It's run successfully. Let's now jump back into our contract, our library here. We'll hit refresh. And what we'll see here is our generated document. All right. Now we've only got one item in our list, but if I open up this document now, what we'll see is all of those placeholders have been pre-filled with our dynamic values. All right. So there's all of our values. There's the renewal date. And what you'll notice here is though, that I did see is that the proposal deadline date hasn't been done. So while we're here, let's go back and what we're going to do is let's just delete this one. All right, so we'll delete this. We'll jump back and edit our template now. So let's go edit new menu. We'll jump into the publish templates, and what we're going to do is just fix up that little placeholder text. So that's why it's a good idea to test these things out first, and then we can pick up these little nuances as well. So we can see here that what I need to do is we need to just adjust this. That didn't, for some reason, didn't change or set. So we need to add our deadline. So let's go new field. Let's just call this deadline. We'll go next. We'll select our list one more time. We'll go vendors. We'll hit next. Now we've got our expiry date at the top. Let's just hit this renewal date. All right. So we'll use this date here for our proposed deadline. So let's now save that. And now that is good to go. So we'll republish this, publish, and then we'll wait for that to publish. And then what we'll do is let's add another vendor to our list. All right, so we'll add two vendors. We've already got the one. So let's now jump into home. That's disappeared for some reason. So let's just refresh our page. Let's go to vendors. We'll jump into our list. Let's just add one more vendor, and then we'll generate two documents from that list. So we'll go new, and let's add a new vendor. So let's go Apple. Let's just say vendor contact person. Let's go Steve Jobs. Let's go address 345 some street. They can be next to each other. Let's go city, Melbourne, state, Vic, zip 3001. Let's renewal date is, let's give it this renewal date, expiry date is there. We'll hit save, and now we've got 2 items. So let's jump back into our Power Automate flow. Let's just edit this. We'll test this again. So we'll click on the test button. We'll manually test this. So it's going to run this. Let's just run it. We are good to go. So that is now going and running. We'll jump back to our contract reminders document library, and there you can see we've now got 2 documents that have been dynamically generated and ready to then send out. So if I jump into this Apple document, what we'll see is that it won't be Microsoft and it won't be my name. We can see that we've got all of our the different dynamic values coming from Microsoft, from that vendor's Microsoft list. All right, so that's where we're going to leave it. Dynamically generating documents via Microsoft Syntex with a data source that's coming from a Microsoft list. We can then save a lot of time by not having to manually create individual documents like you might be doing right now. We can dynamically do that. We can just run a flow and it will automatically create all of our documents in our instance, in our context here, all of our renewal letters to send out to our vendors. Now you could extend on this and add another step and actually email these documents out also. And if you think a little bit further than that, if we think that these things need to be signed, then you could integrate even Adobe Sign or DocuSign and send out those documents for electronic signature, and then that whole start to finish process is taken care of for you. So I hope that brings you some value. Thanks for watching, and I hope it saves you some time.